with the AKBBA, so the AKBBA can come and join my group. I know Dragon Society International, and by the way, these are their little cards right here, so you can probably use your smartphone to get to their website on the back. And we're going to partner with them. They're a great big organization, an international organization. Maybe we'll get them to come down from Virginia, or some of us will go up there. So we have lots of exciting things coming up. Bob Beasley is putting on the U.S. Karate Championships this summer. Again, we're going to have our high degree promotions during that. Master Robles is actually in charge of organizing that. So people going out for very high ranks can actually sit under these gentlemen and have them sign their certificates. So we got some exciting things coming up. So I just encourage you, like I say, to go to the website and check it out and be part of this new movement. We've got some awards here. I want to present some of these. Yes, sir.
In the beginning, there was martial arts on the West Coast and East Coast of Texas. It didn't take very long in this country for Texas to establish the kind of fighting reputation that we all come out of. So I'm very, very proud that I was a brick in the wall on that. But even more important than the fighting we like to tell the sea stories about is the indomitable spirit that everyone develops when they train in martial arts. If that weren't true, look around you. Who can imagine a vision of a dojo like this over here in North Dallas? So I appreciate what you've done. It's an excellent example of having a vision about what can be done with a dojo. And I've had dojos before that wouldn't fit in your restrooms. So I'm pleased that I'm a part of this family. I respect all you guys and everybody that's come after that. I respect the whole martial art community tremendously. Thank you.
Some of you probably know Mr. Burleson just by reputation, but he won the first national karate championship in the United States. So the magazines actually nicknamed him the grandfather of American sport karate. So
Father, Keith.
The father. Okay. The father of American sport karate.
He mentioned a dojo like this. It takes a lot of work to do it, but Mr. Burleson himself said in an article I read that from what they did back in those days, anyone could, and he literally said, anyone could open up a dojo in North Dallas and it would be easy for him. Okay, I'll agree to part of that because of what they did in those days. But the easy part, that's another issue. He mentioned that he was a brick in the wall. These guys are the cornerstone. These are the guys, without it, we wouldn't have it. I wouldn't be here. We'd be going to some martial arts place and doing our other martial arts. They literally created something so unique. It's amazing how little recognition it has in the world of martial arts. And really, what you see nowadays with mixed martial arts is gained this huge notoriety. Well, it's on TV. It's big. There's lots of money in it. These guys were the big stars, just like the guys that you see now. If you're into MMA, you see their names and you see them in the magazines and the sponsors. Master Steen beat Chuck Norris in 1966. And Joe Louis, if you know who that guy is, and not the boxer, but another Joe Louis, he's scary to look at. He beat them both in the same day, became international champion. Because of modern technology, you can go to YouTube and watch it now. I watched it for the first time a while back, and I'm just, I couldn't believe it. Master Burleson, as Master Yates said, the first U.S. karate champion. He talks about a tournament that they went to. I wasn't there, I just hear the stories. Guys from Texas go to a tournament up in Chicago. I should probably let him tell the story. But they realized that some had some techniques from one style, others had techniques from another style, and they started mixing them together. And they came back knowing all kinds of different things. But without these guys and really literally what they did, the stories that I hear, this was before my time. I came up in the early 70s in martial arts. These guys were way before me. But what they did in enrolling so many people in martial arts, and the stories I heard, that Master Steen said, look, you got all these people, Let's kill them all. The ones that stick, we'll make instructors out of them. And you know, I wasn't there, but all of these guys are those first instructors. And then one guy, we haven't mentioned much, well, he talked about Master Kermit. He's not being honored today. He's, fortunately for us, a new High Dan board member who I can't believe that we have the honor of having him on the board. One of the foremost authority in Korean martial arts that I can think of. Up there with Dr. Hee and Kim. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. I had the privilege of training with him just a couple of times in seminars, and just to listen to him, he's like an encyclopedia. But his insights on the High Dan board, this is our first meeting that we've had with him today, just to listen to his insights and where he comes from, brings a maturity and a knowledge that we really haven't had. He's somebody who can really help to bridge the gap, as I've always wanted to do, between the old generation and the new generation. That's really what we're trying to do now. But without these guys, we wouldn't be here. Without Master Steen, without Master Burleson, Master Young, who held the longest, I think it is the longest held martial art school ever, or class in history, probably in the United States. And Grandmaster Tony, who carried it on, who put together a High Dan board of guys. Master Vaught, who I actually recommended for the High Dan board way back, who's just a prolific writer, has ideas that come out of nowhere, but just been a huge asset to the High Dan board. Guys that I've got to spar with verbally, with Master Dawson, Richard Jenkins. We've had it out many times, and we're all still friends. I love the guys. I respect them tremendously. Learned more than I ever would have known I'd learned from these guys, even to this day. I talked to Master Jenkins the other day, and I said, you know, I think this is what you meant by that. I really still don't get it, but I think I'm starting to figure it out. And then Master Daniel's down at the end over here, who I had, you know, one of the first original martial art guys, one of the pioneers with these gentlemen, who we have on the family tree. There's the three main guys, Master Steve, Master Burleson, and Master Ed Daniels. Who was an instructor of Master Vaught and many guys. Asante Wilson over here, world champion, and many other people. Many guys have been able to train with him. And it's just a real honor to have these guys here today. So yeah. Thank you for saying that. These are the guys. We're just trying to carry it on.
As we prepare to honor our retiring board members, we came to the realization that there's some people before their generation that we failed to honor because they've always been there for us. We think they'll always be there. We know better. But there wouldn't be an American Karate Black Belt Association or Southwest Karate Black Belt Association if it weren't for primarily 4 men. Pat Burleson, Ed Daniel, Skipper Mullet, and Alan Steen. Of course, Mr. Steen's the man that began it all. And there's one thing that a lot of people don't understand about how the AKBBA works. It's still Alan Steen's association. Don't think for a second it's anybody else's. He is the only man who's ever held the title of president. He is the only man who ever will hold the title of president. The board decided that a long time ago. He chose to back out of the day-to-day operations and let this board kind of run things. But let me tell you something. Mr. Steen calls you on the phone and says, I want so-and-so. It's done. There is no vote. There's no doubt. It's done. Okay? Because we have that high of respect for him. He's the man who started it all. The father of Texas karate. The father of a lot more than that. I really would call him the father of American karate. But Mr. Steen, we would like to express to you in a small way our appreciation for your founding of the association and the many years you served as its president and chairman. Next, he was the first national karate champion, has been said. He could jump across the room, whack upside the head to the side of his hand faster than he could blink. Believe me, he did more than one time. He has been a tremendous teacher. He and Alan together trained more national karate champions than anyone in history. Put world champions in on that as well. He held down the anchor in Fort Worth. Alma held it down in Dallas. And he was co-founder of the association. He served as an officer director for many years. Mr. Burleson, we'd like to express our appreciation. Student Johnny Nash ran a tough school in downtown Dallas. We're not talking the nice part of downtown Dallas. Downtown Dallas was nice and had kayaks and you rode the streetcar. It was in the rough part of downtown Dallas. And he was, his input and the input of his students, not only build a reputation association, but became the first kind of bridge that made us a true American karate, a multi-stylistic kind of situation. And Mr. Daniels, we would like in a small way to express our appreciation for your many years and look forward to Next we get to our retirees. This is one man I wish would live forever. I can tell you what he's meant to me over the years. You look at that nice little chart Mr. Selby has back there, this lineage of the AKBBA. Mr. Tony was a brown belt, only got his black belt 3 months ahead of me. When it came to be time to put on that chart, I said, put me under Mr. Tony. Why? Because Mr. Tony took me under his wing, he taught me things, he helped me learn things, he encouraged me, he got me through the toughest black belt test that anybody could ever go through on the face of the earth. And has always been there. And not just after I moved out of Dallas, Mr. Tony was always there for me. And Mr. Tony came on board with us when we started the board and started helping us rebuild here in Dallas. He put out of his pocket, he put out of his time, he put out of this everything to keep this association organization going. He reluctantly took the position of High Dan board chairman when we had to split it off. For the first 17 years, I had it and the executive director, and it just got to be too much. And he took it to heights that we never even dreamed we could take it to. Turned it into, even defined the office. Mr. Tony, in appreciation of your recognition of your many years of service as a High Dan board member and High Dan board chairman, we'd like to present you this. Next man, he was a tough son of a gun, I will tell you. I thought of him as a biker. I thought he was a thug and a so-and-so and one of the nicest people in the world. Come from out in West Texas, a little town called Memphis. I always told him every time I used to live in Amarillo, come down here for meetings, I'd go through Memphis. I always said, always go for town. There's this big sign that says, home of Roy Young. But Mr. Young has served as our High Dan board vice chairman and a board member for many years. Like Mr. Tony, he's reached in his pocket, he's given his time, he's encouraged, he's brought people into the organization. He's been a godsend to us. And fortunately, when we retire people, they don't vote anymore. They don't have to come to the meetings, but they're still encouraged to, and we listen to them. And we don't give them up. And we're looking forward to getting more advice in the future from all of them. But Mr. Young, I appreciate this and your many years of service as our High Dan board member. I remember Mr. Vaught, police officer. I remember him as a karate fighter. And when I moved off to West Texas, he got out of my memory for a number of years. Fortunately, when I came back and hanging around Dallas a little bit more often again, finally, as a result, I got to know him well as a co-lover of the art of Aikido. We both descend kind of from the same lineage. It took two little branches in different directions. We've been good friends ever since. We both have a love for judo and Aikido as well as karate, and incorporated them into all we've taught. He came onto our board after Mr. Selby recommended him, and at the time I'm surprised he took the job because it wasn't a nice job at that time. It was a struggling organization as we were trying to put back together. And Mr. Vaught came in and once again brought in the Johnny Nash, Ted Daniels line back into the association, and through his students has reestablished that in this organization. And we always feel like we owe a lot to him for reestablishing that connection, that bridge. I don't think it ever fell. It just couldn't get walked on for a while. And Mr. Vaught, in appreciation of your many years of service as our High Dan board member. I like to tell people that the way I met Richard Jenkins was that I was walking to the state fair of Texas, reached in my pocket for some money and shook hands with him. But unfortunately, that's not true. I like to tell it though. I met Mr. Jenkins first time I walked into the Hillcrest School. He convinced me that he could teach me to fly like Superman and see through walls and everything else. And if I just come in there and take martial arts. He took great delight along with Art Heller and Fred Wren and beat me to death several times a week. But I was a lot better for it. He and I, again, after I moved out of Dallas into West Texas, didn't see each other for a while until he moved back out to West Texas. We ran into each other on his third-degree black belt test down in Midland. I won't tell you what I did to him then. He showed me his perfect spin kick block with his nose. And later we met each other again in Brownfield, but we didn't recognize each other. And we were in a meeting together, and he was talking to somebody about karate. He said, "Oh, you do karate?" And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what kind of karate?" "Well, American Karate Black Belt Association." I said, "Well, who are you?" "I'm Richard Jenkins." I said, "No, you're a liar. I know Richard Jenkins. He had long blonde hair. And he said, "Well, who are you?" I said, "I'm Charles Benson." "No, Charles Benson, excuse me, about that big round long hair down there." Well, we finally recognized each other, and he came along at a very critical time for us. Initially, Ronnie Cox had been a big part of this. In fact, it was his idea to make us keep this thing going. And unfortunately, he was killed on the line of duty. He was serving as our secretary at the time, and it left a big hole. Mr. Jenkins came along and filled that hole. He gave us a lot of structure that we didn't have. His business of knowledge and knowledge of martial arts, and having been back from the early days of the association, he gave us all of our forms and our current contact system and everything else. He's still critical to the organization. We're still depending heavily upon him. We tried to make him stay on the board at least another year, but he finally got up and told us, "No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to retire." But we hope to hear from him a lot more. He has served both as the High Dan Board Secretary and the Association Secretary until today it was 2 jobs. Today he makes 1. He's telling us that we're probably going to make it into 5, and he's probably right. So, Mr. Jenkins, in appreciation of your many years of service as High Dan Board member, Association Secretary, and High Dan.
Okay, I've got 3 more presentations to make. Besides being the High Dan Board Chairman of the AKBBA, I serve on a whole bunch of different boards. I serve on Chuck Norris's board, on Martial Arts Grandmasters International, and on the Karate Masters Hall of Fame, which is headquartered in New York. There are all kinds of halls of fame. Most of them you have to pay like big bucks and get your certificate and go to a fancy dinner. In this organization, we present certificates to the people that we feel are deserving of them. I've had the privilege over the last couple of years of presenting Mr. Daniel, Mr. Kerben, Mr. Tony, Mr. Burleson, and Mr. Steen with these certificates. And today I'm going to present an induction to the Karate Masters Hall of Fame to Grandmaster Richard Jenkins, Grandmaster Tim Vaught, and Grandmaster Royce Young. Later holding up your certificates and your awards. But I think unless we have anything else to add, in the formal ceremonies, I think there's probably still food back there. One of my black belts happens to be a professional caterer, so he brought stuff. So I got to be able to tell them, oh, they all ate it and loved it, so make sure you eat something on your way. But now I'm just going to close it. Yes, sir?
I want to say something about Mr.
Steve.
Go right ahead.
Everybody talks about the tournaments, you know, yeah, boy, they're a lot different now than they used to be. I remember when I was a Greenbelt, Mr. Steen had a tournament out at TI, and I won Greenbelt tournament. Well, the prize or the award for winning the Greenbelt division was pretty good. 3 minutes with Pat Burley. He probably doesn't remember. I put up a good fight. But he won. You people get these big old trophies and stuff now in tournaments. I don't know. They're not as much fun as 3 minutes in the ring with the international karate champion. I put up a good fight. It's a lot different now. Mr. Younger, he's kind of a devilish guy. He's always thinking up bad stuff to do.
That's true.
One time we were sparring out there, and we had a little break in class, and Mr. Young sneaked up behind. Oh, you were a guy in front, weren't you?
You want to pick me?
Where they go?
He got down behind me, and I guess I kicked Royce over or something anyway.
Yeah, knock the wind out of him.
Yeah.
You must be the mean one picking up these.
Yeah,
Fell over.
Thursday out now.
And we regretted that for years. And Mr. Steen did one of his bad side kicks. I didn't see it, but Royce said if he had
This is
hit
here
me,
about this much.
I would have died right there on the spot.
I'd like to say something to correct the point that was made earlier. I think it was Mr. Steve that said that we were not in those days financially oriented. That's not quite true. I remember when Mr. Daniel came to us and says, we were out at St. McGrain Recreation Center, and he says, I've had a talk with Alan Steen, and he says, I need to start charging you guys. So beginning next week, it's going to be 50 cents a month.
I'd like to say something about some of the people there that have been. Tim? And where's Julie?
Oh, yeah.
Julie?
You'll have to say it loud. She won't sit quiet.
Julie's here. Julie! Julie Willis. And Warner. Look at these three grown adults. They were like so. And I'd have to get out on my knees to spar with them. And they've come up, they're all high rankers. Come up, taught all these years. Dennis, we've had so many people that have come and gone. And Skipper couldn't be here today, but he was one of the top fighters. Fred ran. my brother, we had a lot of good fighters back then. And when people came to tournaments in Texas and saw our patch, they tried to get on the other end of the line. Jim Harrison says, you knew when you were in a tournament in Texas that you were in the fight. Because they didn't call a point. If it wasn't worthy, we wouldn't call it. And worthy meant it had to be, some pop to it.
Let me say this. I came from Louisiana, and the Texas boys came to Louisiana, and they explained the Texas rules were, if you knock someone unconscious, you lost the point. If they couldn't wake up and continue to fight, you were disqualified. So you would knock people unconscious, they'd have to get up and fight while they were still groggy, and all you did was lose a point. That was a Texas rule.
We had a very kind of an arbitrary rule. If you hit him and he ran into it, he ran right into it.
Bill Wallace used to say a point in Texas is capital murder in California.
What I heard about today, among other things, was how hard we fought in the old days. And yes, we did. But I want to recognize you people that are coming along now. We still got some good fighters out there. We just need to take some of these rules off of them.
Here's three more guys you may recognize. They've been here forever. They're fixtures. Wayne is one of the better writers around. He writes how many books? 4 books. 500 and some odd articles. So everybody's standing in the room. I see Bob Potter back there. I mean, Harry Gamble. Bob, rest in peace, Bob. Harry Gamble was with us when they had the old British stuff. Campbell and I'm working out.
Spanish Village.
Right. Yeah, so a lot of water. It's hard to remember a lot of things.
Did a lot of stuff.
My thing is, if I don't know you, I ought to say, how you doing, guy?
Mr. Steve, can I say something? I think we should all remember today people who couldn't be here to see this. These are the men who not only started everything, but basically who survived. We miss people who weren't here today. Demetrius Thomas, Larry Casper, Ronnie Coppins, and just recently, my old college instructor, Charles Armstrong, Colonel of the Marine Corps, died of brain cancer just a few months ago. So,
And many of you knew Rick Vaughn.
4 fingers of death.
DP Hill.
a lot of people gone on before. A lot of people gone on before, and I think we ought to actually just take a moment of silence. Remember those who couldn't be here today. Thank you. I know they would have loved to have been here and seen all their seniors and peers talking about these old days, because they were part of those days. Thank you, sir.